All right, a big portion of today's game is going to come down to how Kentucky guards Gonzaga's ball screens. They are very good in their ball screen offense, but they also get to it a lot. It's going to be part of guarding them essentially every single possession. And we have several clips here to kind of walk through how I think Kentucky should attack them in terms of ball screen coverage, but then also just kind of showcasing how good Ryan Nimhard and the Bulldogs are in these ball screen situations. This first clip here, you see Graham Ike, Gonzaga's five-man, slipping the ball screen into space there towards the paint. I think first off here, West Virginia was hard hedging these ball screens. I just don't see a reason to do that. I think anytime you send two defenders at Ryan Nimhard, it just lets him play from an advantage way too easily. He's an excellent passer, and then there's also just so many other pieces on this Gonzaga offense that you're going to be living and making these really tough decisions throughout the game if you're sending two defenders out at him. And also he's much more of a playmaker than he's a shooter. I know he's 45% from three, 9 of 20. That's not super high volume. I would much rather make him shoot some threes than allow him to get 10 to 12 assists going to the basket every game. And here he is at 35 feet and he has two defenders on him. To me, that's a losing proposition. Also, regardless of how you guard the ball screens, and we'll talk some more about that in these coming clips, I think you need to essentially act like the ball screen isn't there as you're guarding it, because Gonzaga is going to slip so many of these that really, regardless of what coverage you're in, you can probably just keep fighting with it. You can essentially just keep guarding Nimhard as he comes off because there's not actually going to be a ball screen there most of the time. Here you see Tucker DeVries, West Virginia here, kind of coming down to try to tag Ike on the roll. Ajayi here, number one for Gonzaga's 4 for 18, but he was really high percentage last season at Pepperdine. So you do have to respect him as a shooter. Still, this is one you're going to kind of live with. I would rather come over here and take away Ike on the roll and make Ajayi make this three. Gonzaga's 35.4% from three this year, so I'd kind of rather live with that. But what I would like to do is go under this ball screen, have number 13 for West Virginia a little further back, giving him room to get underneath, and then you can pretty much keep a guy on a guy. Number 12 can stay with number one here. There's no need to help or tag on the roll, and then also there's no need to send two defenders at Nimhard. Number 13 would still be like back here in the way of Ike. This defender would be right here in between the ball and the basket on Nimhard, and there's really no need to scramble or help at all. Here in this next clip, this is against Indiana down in Atlantis. This is Ben Gregg setting this ball screen. He does set this one a little bit more, but look how far out it's set. Like, we're talking 30 to 35 feet from the basket. Again, I just don't see any reason to fight over top of that ball screen. First and foremost, I think staying between him and the basket is the best defense anyway, but then certainly this far away from the basket, he's not going to settle behind and shoot this. And if he does, frankly, even if he makes it, I don't care. Again, you have two defenders out here. We're 35 feet from the basket. He's playing from an advantage right away. He's really reading Trey Galloway of Indiana here. What's this tag guy going to do? Is he going to stay in and take away Ben Gregg on the roll, or is he going to stay with, I think that's Nolan Hickman, or that might be Ajayi there lifting up behind. Galloway's just a step late, kind of getting in there on the roll man, and Ben Gregg's able to lay it in. Again, if you go under this ball screen, you give yourself some room, you're taking away the roll, you're just sliding right here, you're in between the ball and the basket. Galloway then would have no decision to make. He can just stay with Ajayi over there as he replaces up behind the play. Just makes it a lot easier, especially that far from the basket, to guard these ball screens. Another clip here. This time it is number 34, Braden Huff, setting the ball screen. Ben Gregg's kind of replacing up behind it. This one, again, is a slip. So regardless of the ball screen coverage, you could just keep guarding him, act like the ball screen's not even there. Once again, we're kind of sending two defenders at him here. This is Davidson. This time, I just think you have to go under and stay between him and the basket, because now, look at this decision has to be made on the tag. This guy's in here. He's kind of trying to take away Braden Huff, but he's also scared of giving up a three to Ben Gregg. So what's he going to do? Ryan Nimhard does a good job of kind of dragging this ball screen out to make that recovery longer for number two, and he's just reading this defender. And as soon as that defender steps away, boom, you see him throw that pass. And now you have a Davidson defender literally just leaving a guy who's wide open at the front of the rim. Again, if you go under, you don't have to make that off-ball decision. Here's Graham Ike. He does set this one a little bit more. Again, if West Virginia was, this guy should be like right here, giving room for number 10 to go under. Now we just meet Nimhard on the other side of the screen. There's nowhere for Ike to roll into. Number 7 doesn't have to worry about tagging on the roll. You can stay with a great shooter right here, number 11, Nolan Hickman, and there's no decisions to be made. Once again here, Nimhard is reading this defender. He's reading what this guy's going to do. Is he going to come out with Nolan Hickman, who's a great shooter, or is he going to stay with number 13, Ike, who's great on the roll? As soon as number 7 leaves, Nimhard delivers the pass to Ike, gets the catch, another easy layup. That's like what we saw last year when Gonzaga played at Rupp Arena, where it was just layup after layup after layup because Kentucky was guarding like you're seeing these teams guard in a lot of these clips. Once again, look at where this ball screen is being set. Ike is 30 feet from the basket. It doesn't matter. I mean, essentially outside of, maybe Steph Curry, maybe Damian Lillard. I don't even know if there's a college player that I would name in this list. Like, you don't need to be going over the top of ball screens on anybody. Again, outside of Steph Curry and Damian Lillard, who don't play for Gonzaga. You don't need to go over when the ball screen is set 30 feet from the basket. Omar Ballo here is actually giving plenty of room. He's taking away the roll. Right now, look at where he is. He's lower than Ike on the roll, but he has to stay a little bit longer because we went over the top. If he goes underneath here, you're just between him and the basket. There's no help anywhere. He can just stay with Ike on the roll. But he gets drug out a little bit here. Nimhard's able to find the perfect little seam, the pocket, pass there to Ike, who lays it up once again. Here we're back to Davidson. Ben Gregg setting this ball screen. He sort of slips to a pop here, and now you have Braden Huff ducking in as the ball gets driven. This is another thing that Gonzaga will do. Their interior guys aren't like the most physical in the world, but they are very, very skilled, and you can't get lulled to sleep with all of the worry about the ball screen. This guy's probably he's kind of thinking about what am I going to do on the roll. Then he lets his man duck him in. Braden Huff gets this catch with 2 feet in the paint. That he's going to be really high percentage when that happens. You need to be leaning up against him and trying to get him further away from the basket. His percentages will go down the further off the block you make him catch it. On to the next clip here, back to West Virginia. Ben Gregg. This is like a kind of an NBA-inspired, like I just call it like a push ball screen, because he's not really setting the ball screen. He's also not really slipping it. But what he's trying to do is just via that contact where he just kind of two-hand pushes the guy in the back, he's just trying to get you to switch the ball screen based on the contact. So he's essentially trying to trick you into the fact that, hey, I'm ball screening even though I'm not, just to trigger the switch, which he does, but West Virginia either doesn't fully communicate it or they're a step slow. Like Tucker DeVries needs to be over here and also in order to cut off the right-hand drive. You don't need to switch out on Ryan Nimhard. You don't need to have your feet beyond the three-point line. You need to switch back a little bit to take away that right-hand drive. He's able to turn the corner for an easy layup. I think this is the last clip here. We get into kind of a Spain ball screen here with Ike setting the first one, Nolan Hickman setting the back screen. This is something that we've seen Kentucky run, these Spain ball screens with a shooter setting the back screen on the roll in order to pop for a catch on the perimeter. Ballo is back pretty far here again, so he was doing a decent job of having an idea of taking away the roll, but it gets negated when you fight over the top. He needs to go under that screen through all this space and just meet Nimhard over there so there's no penetration, and then Ballo can immediately get back to Ike on the roll. But now this guy feels like he has to step up to take away Nimhard's clear drive to the basket. That allows a 40+% three-point shooter in Hickman to pop essentially unabated to the three-point line, and he gets as clean of a look as he's going to get all game and knocks it in. So that was, 8 or 9 clips of Gonzaga in their ball screen offense. Again, I think if you go under those Ryan Nimhard screens, yes, he's a 45% three-point shooter. Let's see if he'll take 10 threes today. Even if he makes 4 of them, I'm willing to trade that for him getting 10 to 12 assists by just, beating us up on the roll or hitting the replace guy, because you have so many decisions to make if you fight over the top or really anything else that you do in the ball screens. But if you just go under and keep a guy on a guy, it really takes away the decision-making process off the ball. So I hope that that's what Kentucky does today. We will see. The one good thing with Coach Pope and his staff, I have a feeling they're going to be ready to execute whatever their game plan is, and we will pretty quickly see that at 10 p.m. tonight. So anxious to see how Kentucky guards the ball screens, and I think that'll be a big key for really any team that plays Gonzaga this year, because it's such a big part, and they're so good at it with what they do offensively.